Everything in life starts, stops, and continues with a choice. To think you have the power to choose is a choice. And if you choose not to believe that you have the power of choice, you still made a decision. You have a choice, ladies. You can choose the outcome you want to achieve in any situation. You can choose to harvest the lessons learned from your past and use the wisdom gained to forge a new pathway. You can choose to release old unsupportive behaviors and habits so that you can focus on the vision that you want to see come to pass in your life. You can choose to enlist allies to support you to reach those lofty goals that you have buried deep down on the inside of you, or the ones that you've written down, but you've never really done anything with them. You can choose to adapt a new mindset. You can choose to design an action plan to bring your vision to life. Welcome to lesson 1. Think of the outcome you want to achieve. Let me ask you a question, ladies, and I want you to be honest with me. Do you know what you want to achieve in life? Is there an area in your life that you would like to see change? Is it related to one of the 7 areas that we assessed a couple weeks ago? And I'm referring to your health, your finances, your relationships, your education, your social life, your spirituality, and the list goes on and on. Is there a specific outcome that you want to achieve, say by the end of this week, next week, the end of 2022, 5 to 10 years out? I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to remind your heart that you, yes, I'm looking at you, you were created for purpose, with purpose, and you were created to thrive in life. Here's the thing. When our lives are ravished by trauma or crisis, it feels like time drags on, or suffering looks or thinking in fear, guilt, and unbelief. And in these moments, it's easy for us to lose sight of the presence of God. It's easy for us to lose sight of who we are as courageous women because we're so focused and we're so distracted by the adversity that we're faced with. From my experience as a trauma survivor, an advocate, and a teacher, I strongly believe that God placed, and I believe He was very intentional when He placed transformation on the backside of our most painful trial and suffering to reveal to us as women not only that our need to give up control or to let in help, but also I believe that God did so that each of us as women can grow through intentional transformation. Transformation is not a free pass to avoid our trials or tribulations or our sufferings. No. We need transformation because, ladies, we are creatures of habits. We're human beings. And after many years of being who we are, when it's time for us to transition over to the next phase in our lives, you can agree with me. Sometimes it's difficult, right? To move past who we've always been so that we can step into those unfamiliar territories, right? And become the women that we were created to be. So let's take a look at when we talk about think outcomes, right? To think of the outcomes that we want to achieve. There's a certain skill set that we need in order for us to do so. And in my notes here, I want to talk about a growing body of researchers. And these psychologists looked at several survivors post their recovery. And some of the things that they have discovered is that post-trauma survivors become more resilient. They're more connected. It's like they've developed a deeper connection to their faith and even to their potential. They become a little bit more aware of what they've got on the inside of them. I also want to encourage us to know that yes, during this COVID-19 pandemic, it has been one of the most difficult seasons of our lives. But we've also uncovered new strengths, new skill sets, right? And we've grown in our courage in new and different ways. Now, what are some of the skill sets that you and I have had to tap into in order for us to achieve the outcomes that we've achieved during the COVID-19 pandemic? I believe that one of the things that the COVID-19 pandemic has taught me is that as human beings, we need the help of science and spiritual forces to navigate tough times and conquer issues that we face in this life. Now, there are several spiritual tools that God has made available to all of us, and we can transport things from the supernatural into our physical experience using these tools. What are these tools I'm referring to? I'm referring to, number one, our vision. And when we talk about our vision, a vision is based on the outcome of an intention that you can see or imagine in the future. So it hasn't happened as yet. The second tool that we have accessible to us is our faith. And faith is an expression of our belief in an intention. And an intention is something that we cannot see and for which there is little to no proof. The third tool is prayer. Prayer is a two-way spiritual communication of your intention, your goals, your vision, your faith, and desires. And it's between you and God. And we do not need a mediator to pray for us. It's good to have others pray with us, but we have the ability to pray for ourselves and to talk to God about those things that are on the top of our hearts. When we encounter difficult times or difficult situations such as trauma or crisis, we can access any of the spiritual tools that I've just described, and we can use them to connect with God from anywhere and at any time about anything. Step one of Thread Think Outcomes is all about inward transformation. When we talk about thinking of the outcomes that we want to achieve, we're talking about leaning into ourselves and taking a peek at our future self, what we look like, what we sound like, who we are, where we live, who are our friends. So we're peeking into the future self to gain an understanding about how we are, what steps we have to take in order to bring that future self into our reality. In step one, we will engage in visualization. We will use intentional action steps to achieve the desired outcomes you want. So last week, you had an opportunity to work on your theme or power word. You also had an opportunity to assess the 7 areas of your life. In addition, you've also established your intentional board. Now, when we talk about think outcomes, we have to go to the intention board. And now we have to take a look at all of those desires and those goals and visions that you've developed, right? These are the things that you want to see manifested in your life. But before we go there, I want to go to the assessment tool. The assessment tool is very critical in this process, as this is a tool where you've assessed those 7 areas in your life. And essentially what you're saying is, based on these 7 areas, I know where I am, I know what I've achieved, I know where I'm at today, and I know where I want to go in the future. So I want you to pause for a moment and think of a difficult situation that you're struggling with to move past. What is that situation? Write it down. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about how do we think of the outcome we want to achieve from those difficult situations.